This is Short Hammer. It is the 18th of September, 2022, and this is Trading Zones. Quite a few of the things that we were looking for did play out last week. Looking at the RTY, we did sort of bounce in the this zone here, right? The 790, oh, excuse me, the 790s by the 1790s by the 1740s. Okay, so what are we looking for this upcoming week? I think the market's a little bit weak, and we just have to see if there's enough. If I'm a bull, if I'm a buyer, the question is, where am I finding the narrative that tells me that it's time to buy? If you're going to be in for 5 years or 4 years, you're an investor. That's very different. If you're a trader, when will this resolve? And so, looking at this, I'm leaning more to the bearish side on a lot of my setups and a lot of my plays. But at the same time, you can't ignore levels. So if you're at a level where you think that buyers may step in, you got to go long. And when you're at a level where you think that sellers feel they have an edge, you got to be short. So don't be bearish or bullish. Just look for great setups, right? Great structure. So if I'm looking here, just above this, we have the 1815s. Above that, we have the 1829 area. So for me, I'm watching this. The last time that we sold, we did dip right around the 6th of September. And the low of that day was the 1770s. So if I'm looking at this, I'm saying, okay, even though we push back up here, is the possibility we drift below the 1770s and potentially drift down here near the bottom of this zone of the 1740s. We have to wait and see. Also, remember that we have FOMC this week. So the Fed will be making a statement and we will see sort of where they are with rates. And I think that that could either feed the narrative that inflation has peaked or feed the narrative that inflation has not, and the Fed will have to continue to be more aggressive. So we'll see how that plays out heading into Wednesday. But just watching these levels here, if we drift to the bottom, could we see a little bit of continuation? If we do, down to the 1720s, that's possible. But this is the initial areas that I'm watching on the RTY. If we're bullish above 1829, I'll be looking for a push into the 1840s to see if we can see anything happening there. Let's keep it moving. And remember, the RTY is financials and small cap. And I've mentioned this on financials before. There will be a point where the rise in interest rates and people, trying to put off acquiring new debt. If you have that option, people aren't going to be, getting debt at these interest rates if they don't have to, right? Or if they aren't forced to, or if it's not an amazing deal. So there should be less business being done. But at the same time, the rise in interest rates means that the debt that's being serviced that may be at the mercy of those interest rates does make the bank more money. So that's something that is actually interesting. Let's see, keep it moving. Looking at the MES, I know it's a lot going on here. Um, Looking at where we are right now, we tried to bid back up here. We did make a lower low, and any pushes back up here, we would really need to regain the 39.18s and then the 39.30s. If we stay below the 39.30s, we're probably going to head back down. We'll have to see how this plays out. But this is a tough setup. We went lower than we were for the last sell. So we have to see if the buyers are able to regain any of this. And if we can't get above the 39.30s, I am not interested. And really we need to get back to the 39.60s. Let's see. But looking at this, we are right at the 38.50s. We went below the 38.80s. Remember, that's where we bounced last time. And we did accumulate here. We dipped below, but the buyers did manage to get us back above. We have to see if in the session tonight around 6, if we gap that back down below that 38.80s, that's a really strong area that we would, if I'm a buyer, I would definitely want that area to hold. And I would like us to regain the 39.30s to see if we can get a little bit of room up to the 39.60s and potentially higher. But right now, as far as where the market is, I think the bears do have the advantage just because we've sold through some pretty significant levels. So we have to see how this holds up. They regained the 38.80s. Have to see if that was just a relief bounce and if we end up back below that before the open on Monday, retail trading hours. So we'll see. But if we do happen to drop to 38.50s, next up is the 38.17s, 37.70s, 37.40s. Yep. So if we're looking at the MNQ, right, we did drop into the 11.710s by the 12.040 zone. And in that area, we could bounce around a bit. But where we are now, it's to me, it's bearish territory. Anytime we're below those 12.500s by 12.600s, I don't know if you remember us mentioning that on the last videos, below that level, I'm looking for more downside. So we'll see how this plays out, right? We may pull back up in here, but I do think the resolution is going to be more selling. I don't, and we'll see, right? We play level to level. So if we're able to regain the 12.040s, that will be this area here, and we can spark, some type of a rally above that level, then I would have my eyes on a push into the 12.240s, and then see if we can get out of this little this little channel that we're in, and then be able to gain the 12.300s. That's what I would be looking for if I was bullish. I prefer us to, retail hours to open above the 12.040 area, um, if possible, and we'll see. Right off this pop blue pivot, that's a beautiful thing. One tap, two tap push, beautiful thing. Didn't make a lower low there. Uh, but we'll see. We'll see where we open during retail hours. There's a lot of pressure on tech, but there even within the pressure that we see in tech, there is a it's there what's the word I'm looking for? There isn't correlation. Different, even though most of tech, of the big tech companies do seem to be trending down. There are some that are moving counter trend to the market. So that's really interesting to see if, this little pullback that we saw right before the close, if that leads to more of a run up in those tickers that were already a little bit stronger than their fellow tech sector mates. So we'll see how that works out. But I'm watching the 11.710s if we happen to dip down there. And then if we get below that, it might get funky. But one of the things that and we have to see, but this is interesting, this level. Yeah, I don't have a ton of lines below here, but I'll probably have to pop some in going back to previous years to really get those levels in. But we have to see, like this area 11.480s is interesting. Yeah, this could really get ugly. So we have to see if where the buyers are and if they're able to get us back up. Let me keep it moving. At the jet. Just so busy. So busy this weekend. A lot going on. A lot of fun stuff. Let's see. It's a nice pullback here into the 124 area. We'll see if we're able to be bullish above. Um, Personally, if I was a buyer, I'd want this to go lower. Um, Personally, I have that. Yeah. just because I would want a lower entry entering into the holiday season. As we enter into the season of Black Friday and the holidays and Christmas, I'll prefer to get Amazon at a lower price point. So if we're going to have a crash, I'd rather this bad fella happen as quickly as possible. Um, and prefer to end the year on the market really buying up if I were a bull. I want this to flush all the way out and then really get a nice base to build into next year with. But we'll see how this works out. I'm neither bull nor bear. But if we get back above the 124, we're looking for an extension up into this area here around the 126s. And then if we get above that, maybe we see some could be here, but I don't see correlation there at all. I'd be looking more here in the 130.26s near this pop gray, this 130.57 pop gray. And see if we get back up here through the pop blue. So that'd be interesting to watch. If we go down, I'll be watching this pop gold drop below that and seeing if we see an extension down. And if we see anything going down to the 120.28-ish area, maybe even a little bit lower than that. The 118s is interesting. That's a level I would keep an eye on Amazon if we happen to dip. Let's keep it moving. Netflix. This is one of the companies in the tech sector that's stronger than its mates. And if you remember, what did we talk about with Netflix, right? What they're planning to do with advertising, as far as selling advertising within the content, if done right, I think is a multi-billion-dollar idea. It's absolutely brilliant, and how they execute that could totally change their business model. It's no longer being worried about acquiring new subscribers. That's like that to me. Having having the what is the word, the determination of if you had a successful quarter or not based on how many new subscribers that you have when you already have millions of subscribers, to me is absolutely ludicrous. The better way to have it is have your success be determined by the monetization of the subscribers that you already have within your ecosystem. That's a better metric for success, right? It's yes, it's cool to acquire new consumers. That's cool. We have new subscribers. That's cool. But to me, a better metric is how are we monetizing the ones that we already have. And I think that me being a current Netflix subscriber, monetize me better. I don't care about advertising being sort of filtered in and woven into the tapestry of the shows that I already watch. It's gonna be hard to do that into a show that's like let me think of like a middle-aged show, right? You're not going to be having toothpaste and things of that nature. But it'd be much easier in a show like a let me think, what did I watch? Like The Gray Man or something like that, where you can work in specific brands that if it's toothpaste, it's always this brand of toothpaste. If it's a phone, it's always this brand of phone. If they're gonna fly through the window of a store, it's an AT&T store. It's like that type of brand recognition, and then also potentially weaving in brand ambassadors, people that you recognize as being part of that brand into the natural flow of the story in an organic way. I think that's smart. So I think all there's so many intelligent ways they can go about this that I think can be revolutionary for Netflix as a company and also for advertising overall in general. I think it's very interesting. But let's see how they execute. So watching this push up on Netflix is interesting, and we'll see where it goes from here. Me personally, um, I'm gonna dig into this a little bit more, but I might start building a short position in Netflix potentially. But I just want to see sort of what the option flow is saying, and also what the narrative is around Netflix because I haven't dug into it. Like, to be honest, on my intraday day trades, I'm only looking for technical setups, and I'm in and I'm out. And I'll take 3, 4 points, 5 points, and I'm done. So the narrative and all the fundamentals and the in depth, it doesn't matter to me. I just need that thing to move 5 points, 6 points, 7 points, you know. 20 points on in case of a CMG or something like that. I'm not overly concerned about why it's moving. I just need it to move. So this is interesting. I'm gonna take a peek at this. How was this stronger than the rest of the market? It feels like, right, through much of the week. Had green days when the market was having red days. So I think very interesting. So we'll see. But I will be keeping an eye on Netflix. This is level I'm watching. Pushed above this 239-ish area. We have to see what we do as we get up here near the pop purple around the 244s. If we still remain strong, that's interesting. It would be beautiful if we really saw an insane run to try to get back up here in the 300s. Is that possible? Yes. Is it going to happen right now? Probably not. That's something that'll probably be more of an earnings move if they properly execute on their new advertising strategy. To the downside on Netflix, I'll be kind of watching the 221-ish area. That's the area I'll be watching right around here, the 220s, 221-ish. Then below that, right here around the pop gray, 212, 63, just above the pop blue area. Then the next line we have is at 204. If we happen to get through that, then we do have a little bit of room to fall. Keep it moving. Gonna really be blazing through these. Peeking at NVIDIA down a little bit more. We are below the 138.57, 138 area. Next up is the 119s. If we can't regain that area, we see that we're still below these lows here, which is right about 132.94, 133.59. We saw these reversal areas, so we're below that at 132.49. So we'll see if the buyers can get us back over that. Chances are we'll probably drift down, see negative drift if we don't see an overall rise in the market. And I don't see the reason why we would, but we'll see. So next up is this 119. We'll see what happens around the pop blue, the 121-ish area on NVIDIA. But these are levels to watch. If we happen to regain the 133s and squeeze up into the 134s, then we have to keep our eye open for a test of the 138.40s or the 138s overall and see what we do there. Next up is Microsoft. Good reversal here. Look to the left, right? Back on the, what's this date? The 26th of July. You saw that reversal roughly around this area. The low that day was 243. Move over to your left, 245. So all 240s is what we're seeing on these different dates. And even better, back in June, right? Roughly in this area is where we saw buyers step in, and we're seeing the same thing here in the 242 area. If you remember, we did mention the 267 as an area to watch on Microsoft, and that did happen to pan out. Even though we couldn't predict the other overarching market movement down, but that was a level to watch on Microsoft individually. So we'll see what we get here. If we see a little bit more bidding, it would be technically sound for us to buy back up into the 249-ish area, maybe a little bit higher, but don't know if that's going to happen from in the current market conditions. We have to watch. So now that we're above the 244s, next up is the 249. Above that's the 251, then the 254. If we happen to go back down, keep your eye open to the 242.60s again, then the 240.82, then below that 234. That is Microsoft. Okay, keep it moving. Take a peek at that's at Meta. Meta is below, and so it is below this zone here, the 155s, and looks like it's below and selling. We did mention that it does feel like, especially with a lot of my friends that are doing advertising right now, it does feel as if Meta is pivoting into the metaverse and away from that Facebook advertising model that they have, but they do have to fund it, right? So we have to see how, if they're going to loosen standards headed into the midterm elections, we have to see. But things are kind of tough if you're a bull on Meta right now. And we did have a zone, the 155s by the 170s, and we sold below the 155s on the 13th. So this is just, really interesting when you see the last few times down in this area, whether it was the end of August or back into July, mid-July, late June. you could just see these reversals happening on these dates. So an expectation of that here, once that failed, that was an immediate short against this area that used to be demand. So let's keep it moving on Meta. Oh, see, we'll have some levels here. Next level on Meta is 139.74, then 131.80, 126.28. If we're able to regain the 150s, then we can look for a back test up into the 155-ish area, on which I would be short, to be honest with you. We'll see how that works out, but that's where I would be on Meta. Um, it's looking pretty weak here, and so I wouldn't have any any faith in buyers saying, hey, we're gonna rally this back past the 155 area back into the 160s. I might actually sell some premium on this next week, but just going to be careful headed into FOMC because there could be a strong reaction in the market overall that even the technical setup that I may have may get blown out of the water based on that news. So we have to wait and see. Take a peek over at Apple, and nice dip on Apple. Stronger than a lot of other tech stocks if you look at it. Okay, nice bidding above the purple. Let's see what we can do here on Apple. I need to put some new levels in. We'll see how this 151 holds up. 153 looks nice. I like that area. Then right here, this little plateau around the 156s looks good. We got the pop gold. So definitely a few areas above here on Apple to pull back into. A pullback into the 153.40 should definitely yield something. That should be interesting. Just back into the 153 should be interesting if we can get that on Monday. But we are definitely above the 149, the 147, and the 144 levels. They're right there. I believe they did mention there was a slight little hiccup, especially in China on the rollout of the iPhone 14. I don't know if it was lockdowns or what there was concerning that sort of made things less than ideal. But keep an eye on Apple. They're really pushing that new iPhone 14 hard, getting people that have the previous models to pay off a portion of your previous I guess that would be equipment uh bill and get the new iPhone, right? So they're really pushing it hard, and we'll see how that plays out. But I don't have anything on this. Uh, yeah, I'm not gonna draw any lines on this. I'll get back to this at a later date. Uh, let's see. Keep it moving. Intel is interesting. I don't really have anything down here, but what I was looking at on Intel was, let me flip this to a, was it a 1 week chart? I'm trying to remember. But if I'm looking at Intel, it's definitely below these levels. That's nice. I would like it to go down to probably around the 19-ish area. I know that sounds nutty, but that's where I'd like it to go, right around here. I come back over here. Hello. Right around, yeah, yeah, right around this area. Because you can see back here, 2011, August, April, November. Um, that was a good area there, maybe around the 19th. The other thing that I thought was interesting, if you're looking at this, let's go back to the 4 hour, right? That doesn't show it in the way that I would like. But it does seem as if it should go. I can't remember what chart that I was peeking at where I was like, oh, that makes sense. If you look at this, um, here from this little level, right around the 40s, 50s, 60s. Yeah, I think the 19s is a potential area for it to go to. When is the question? And who knows how far this can rally. But betting that this may still go lower is not necessarily a bad bet. So I'll be keeping an eye on Intel. I don't play Intel much, but I might hang something on Intel out about a month or two, expecting a drift down to the October, drift down to the 19th. But we'll see if this buys back up. We're above the pop purple, potentially get through the pop blue here at 29.89, then potentially above that to 30.96 this area. We have to see how that plays out on Intel. Let's keep it moving. Slide over to Tesla. And if I were looking at this normally, I would say this is a janky M pattern to sell back to the 270s. Would give us about a 30-point drop into the 240s on Tesla, but that's not the case at the moment. So based on where we are, let's flip down to the 4-hour chart. And yeah, so the wonder could be, is it going to drift back down here around the 286s, then potentially down to the 275-ish area? Will this be sort of a bit of a channeling action here on Tesla? So that's going to be interesting to watch. Earnings is about a month away. We have to see. But I'm watching. If we can base and push, we'll see what we do around the 311s up into the pop gold here around 315 on Tesla. I'm not rushing in at all. Just not in any rush because I don't know what the catalyst will be for Tesla to run or sell right now. So just waiting. But these are the levels to watch, those levels I just mentioned. Okay, keep it moving. Take a peek over at BBBY. Okay, what do we got going on here? It does look like it wants to separate down to the 764, maybe even the 659-ish area, potentially. That would be interesting. Maybe giving rise to 902s. It looks more bearish than bullish. So we'll see here. But this is interesting. 790s may give us some type of rise into the 864. Looks like it could be tight. If I was keeping an eye on BBBY personally, I would draw lines around the 650s and roughly around the 930s, 920s, and wait for those to break to be able to look to see what the setup may be. Because out of a squeeze, you could probably fade. And if it happens to break down here, maybe some people will step in and push it back up a little bit to give us a little bit more, more space, more separation. So we have to wait to see. DLTR. Nice base here, right around the 135s, back around 142. I have to see if this does continue up. Yep, I'm gonna kind of leave this alone for now. What I do really want to take a peek over at is CI and how it's really spent a lot of time in this zone. Just a lot. So anywhere between the 283, 282-ish and the 292, 92, 93-ish area has been really interesting on CI. It seems when we push up near the top, even if we push above, we retrace right back into it. And when we sort of dip down here, we pull right back in. So we have to see how this plays out. The best way to play this, honestly, you could play top to bottoms, but for me, or bottoms to tops, for me, the most intelligent thing you could do with something like this is wait for a clear break of the channel. And after that happens, then that's when you you would potentially look for continuation up or down. That's usually the better way to play channels. Wait for a clear break and there to be momentum or catalyst, and then watch for continuation away from that area, right? Then you look for the 272s or above here the 302s, a push there, or maybe even further on a break to either side, right? And I might take a trade or two or three or four on this, depending on how the week looks. As far as it pushes back up here near the top, maybe I take a put, planning for it to retrace back inside, or I might sell a vertical or something like this on CI. But CI is definitely still interesting. Let's keep it moving. SPY. So we see our lines on SPY, and we're above the 383 and the 385. Next up is the 388, then the 390. Above that's the 392 levels. But we'll see if we reject here at 388 and then retrace back down. We see that the movements here back in July. We'll see how that fares on SPY. We'll be keeping an eye on that. I think if there's anything else that I saw that was really interesting this past week. No, 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 nope. All right, cool. I think I'll stop here. This one is going to be shorter than some others. Let's take a peek at the SPX. I think I still have that chart sitting around here. So we're still, even though we're in this mini channel here, we're still in a larger channel, and we can go all the way down here, it looks like, right? And I'll extend this out. We'll see if this continues to fill out with time. I might actually go and sell some premium above the top of this channel. That might actually be intelligent, but we'll see. I'm not in any rush on anything like that at all, honestly. We'll see how this plays out. Now it's above the 42s. That's interesting. Yeah, we'll see how this week plays out. I might just do that just because. Sometimes I do things just because, just to hang it out there. It's fine. But we'll see how this, if the SPX is able to recover here, or if we continue to sell. Remember, FOMC Wednesday, play it light till then. Be careful. It's better not to be in anything during FOMC, and it's better to wait till after for the direction, like the next day, to see if we're bullish or bearish. Thank you so much for your time. Pray you have a wonderful week of trading. If you enjoyed this video, please don't hesitate to subscribe to our channel, Power of Pivots on YouTube, and where you can look forward to not just receiving more videos from me, but videos from Elisa as she breaks down how she utilizes her Power of Pivot strategy to find great intraday entries and exits, and also pre-market and post-market setups. Thank you so much for your time. And I think I'm going to put out a video about sort of some of the things I look for intraday, and just to show my intraday view and what I'm watching intraday to find just great entries, and just great setups intraday. Because a lot of times it's like I always say I trade like a 5-year-old, because the way that I trade is just very simple and straightforward. And I really do think that my children could do the same thing that I'm doing, just follow the instructions specifically. But I think I will do a couple videos soon. But thank you so much for your time, and remember, you're always one trade away.